Hello everyone, Brett the Comic Novice here, and today's video is my unboxing of a massive box. However, I think there is a lot to discuss regarding this massive box because the way I have been collecting comics and are kind of going to be going forward collecting and reading comics has changed immensely from when I first started in 2019. Is it right? Is it wrong? I think that there is certain things to figure out. And in this video, I'm not only going to be unboxing, but giving you my thoughts on how I'm going to be pursuing this hobby going forward. Because I'll tell you, I never did an unboxing for the last month. And here is, my last month's comic haul, which is basically 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 comics. However, just because there was 9 comics doesn't mean that that was all that was in the box. I'll explain further as I get to the unboxing of this video. However, keep in mind, so one of my favorite things is on at my comic book store getting these, DC and Marvel, monthly release catalogs to figure out what I'm going to get, the solicits and whatnot, going through and making hard decisions, actually. And I used to, on the very back, just have a constant running list of all the things that I was going to pick up for the month. And it would be 26 to sometimes over 30 releases. 26 just from DC, as I'm more of a prone to be DC person than Marvel person. However, I've kind of shifted a tad bit. There's more Marvel than there used to be. But again, here is for the up and coming month, or for the month of September 2024. There's all my checklists or checks that I'm going to be picking up. And I think I counted about 8. And so again, and as I was looking through the Marvel solicitation book, I found even less than that. And I think that, and maybe it's just new to me, maybe I'm not experiencing burnout. I mean, I'll tell you, all of these things that I have on here, I have these Epic collection, a lot of these omnibuses I've been picking up, and I think that is my transition to what I'm kind of going to be doing going forward with new comics, because it's not that I don't believe in certain things. I feel as though the classic runs earn a tad bit more justification for picking up, because I feel as though the story quality holds up more than some of these modern ones. And so, yeah, with that being said, I'm just going to go over and pick up this gigantic box that I got from DCBS. Now, keep in mind, some of what you're about to see is stuff that I've pre-ordered. Some stuff I've made some additional alterations to my comic collecting. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave thoughts in the comments. I thought about making this a live stream, but I'm not sure. I don't know if I can do a live stream. I'm gonna have to do some research. I don't think anybody wants to see a live stream. So, that being said, I'll just do that. So, first off, here is my monthly comic book haul. There is a lot more in this haul than there was in the May haul, but that's merely because there was 5 weeks in May, and that was 4 weeks worth of comic books. So some of this is kind of, stuff that did come out in May, but I just received a month later. Also, what I have is, again, I am going into some of these Marvel Epic collections. I got this Daredevil from Fall from Grace, which I'm slowly building up my Epic collection for Daredevil. I've heard some good things and bad things about the DC or CM whatever Chichester's run from Daredevil. So there's that. I also pre-ordered this, which is the Fantastic Four by Mark Waid and what is it, Mike Waringo. I've heard some great things about this. I do appreciate and enjoy the Fantastic Four. Here, I'll just slide that into my shelf right there. So, yeah, and then something that I wasn't planning on picking up, but because, again, of how I'm reading comics and changing and altering, a lot of my comic reading is coming from digital. Now, and it's not modern digital. It is, old school, Silver Age, Bronze Age digital. And I'm wanting to own some of these in physical formats, and I'm finding joy in those compared to some of these more modern comic book runs that are occurring right now. I have so many ideas for some videos, but I'm not 100% sure what would be good for, this is not going to be a full-time job. This is just a hobby, but what would be enjoyable. So, oh man, they put them together. All right, so what I also got, this is in backstock order, are these. I've been reading The Incredible Hulk. I started randomly reading The Incredible Hulk run, not by Peter David, but I've been reading The Incredible Hulk run from around the time that my parents got married in, the late 70s and early 80s. And I, used to watch the Incredible Hulk cartoon, which I thoroughly enjoyed. And, I was wary that, it was just going to be Hulk smash after that. But I'm really finding a lot of enjoyment within the pages of the Incredible Hulk. And I've picked up a couple of stories from Peter David. So I picked up volume 3 and 4 of Peter David's Incredible Hulk run. I don't have volume 1 because that sucker is very scarce currently and is being held hostage for on eBay for probably 3 times as much as what it's worth. So I can either continue reading it as done on the Marvel Unlimited app, or I can just wait patiently for it to eventually get brought back into a omnibus. The funny thing is I truly wish that omnibuses, oh no, not omnibuses. I wish Marvel would get some of these Peter David stuff more in epics, because I feel as though it's easier to pick up and read one of these than it is to just randomly pick up and read. That's going to drive me nuts in a second, but I'll just deal with that later. I think it drive me nuts or it's a lot harder to read an epic collection, or no, sorry, an omnibus compared to an epic collection. And as I look on eBay, I feel as though you see some of these epics that retain their value as omnibuses do, but it seems like the epic collections kind of, after a couple of years, they go out of print. They're no longer found on shelves, and they become scarce and can be held hostage for lots of money. Not saying that that's what I'm also doing, is holding them hostage to sell later. This is a hobby, but yeah. So this is part of my comic run. I'm very excited to crack into the Peter David's Hulk. And now for, I guess, the actual unboxing of, let's see, the June 2024 comic books that I pre-ordered way back in probably February and March of this year. So I'm trying to not damage these as much as possible, because normally I was getting the bags and boards. However, because of how they would shrink wrap the bags and boards. They were basically like destroying both of them. So, and I do still, FYI, I still go to my local comic book store, but I only want to get the comic set I want immediately. I got more of a discount than like 5% from my comic book store. I think I'd be more apt to, pick up certain things. So, from Tom Taylor, the Nightwing run. This is part 2 of a 5-part, his concluding run. Hopefully, we get some really good Heartless storylines right here. I feel as though Nightwing started off super, super strong. And then around issue 92, 93 or something like that, it got turned into another book where he was, I don't know what he was doing. I kind of got bored with it. I kept on holding on, kind of completing the run, you know, a completionist hobby type thing. About around 100, they started getting it turned into the Titans run, and then it got kind of turned and held hostage by the Beast World situation, and now we're getting back to the Heartless run. Or sorry, in between that we had the Pirate Queen from when Dick Grayson forgot who he was, and it was the Rick Grayson era. This one I'm very excited for. It is issue number 1 of Destro, written by Dan Waters, and I'm really excited to get fully invested in the Energon universe. I think that this is going to be fun. The only one I didn't pick up was Scarlet, and it was just because I was going to pick it up day of after listening to some comic reviewers, and it just seems like one of those books that currently maybe it doesn't know what it wants to be yet, or the writer isn't kind of up on G.I. Joe and or the character Scarlet. I did enjoy back in the 80s G.I. Joe. Here is what is it? Not Patrick. Anyway, not Daniel Warren Johnson. Who is this? Who is writing this book? This Green Lantern. Not David Warren. Anyway, PJK. Anyway, he is writing the Green Lantern War Journal, and this, I believe, it never was announced as a limited series or a 12-issue maxi series, but it is going to be coming to an end at the end of issue number 12, this being a John Stewart book. However, the interesting thing about this is, even though it's ending in issue number 12, the Green Lantern book, the Hal Jordan Green Lantern book, is going to, has a backup going forward after issue number 12 is done. This book is going to continue within the pages, the backup part of the Hal Jordan book. So that's kind of interesting. No One, which I really enjoyed, I've kind of ceased reading because it has just been delayed beyond all get out. I mean, I believe issue number 9, if you can read that, I believe came out as this is issue 9. It was supposed to come out in November 2003, I believe, according to this. And obviously I just barely received it. And so it's been delayed, and I don't, the struggle with it is I don't want to have a run of comics that just stops for a period of time and then continues. We have with DC, they're getting ready to start the next saga of DC versus vampires. And they kind of had a 12 issue run, then they paused in the middle, then they had additional black and white ones. Those were all the ones I got rid of in the massive movement purge. And so, because of especially how I felt let down with the DC versus vampires, you know what? It's going to be all digital. I think that for me to constantly have a run, I feel as though I need to be 100% invested in it. And we'll get to a couple other things that I interested in also. Okay, Detective Comics, the Ram V run. Ram V is going to be ending around issue 189 of his Detective Comics run. This is issue 186. And according to a couple YouTubers and podcasters on comics, because the reason why I'm picking that up through DCBS is I want to pay a premium price or like a limited price for it because I'm not reading it all at once. So getting it that way. However, I feel as though I wish DC would actually kind of be more proactive in taking these runs and more immediately turning them into omnibuses. They're more interested in trade and hardcover sets, and where Marvel will give you the trades as they're coming out, and then it seems like about 3-4 weeks or after the conclusion of the series, they will omnibus it. I mean, I was collecting the Jed MacKay Moon Knight series, and it's already it's really close to coming out in an omnibus. I was collecting the Ryan Otley and other guy who kind of lost his had some struggles, I guess you could say, and his Hulk run, and now it's already getting ready to go to deluxe omnibus release, and they think they only did about 12 to 15 issues of that run, which is another reason why I've actually stepped away from the Philip Kennedy Johnson. There we are. That's why I've stepped away from the Philip Kennedy Johnson Incredible Hulk run, is because I'm just going to wait this sucker out. Marvel Comics has shown me that if I really want it in oversized issues, I mean, I wish they would do modern epics real closer to the time that they're released, but I understand the whole trade paperback situation. However, I really am going to just wait out the Philip Kennedy Johnson Incredible Hulk run, and I'm going to just pick it up in omnibus, because that way I can read it all in one sitting or all in eventual sittings. A little bit more difficult than, if it was an epic situation. But, I mean, it seems like some of the hard parts about these comics that I'm noticing with the modern era of comics is how slow the storytelling is, and then suddenly you have a massive cliffhanger. Whereas I'm reading, 1980s, 81 Incredible Hulk, and, you could reread. And that's the interesting thing about the classic, the Bronze Age, Silver Age stuff, is you can reread some of these issues more than one time. I feel as though, and here's my other struggle with modern comics, is I feel as though you can read it once and you're good. And you have to ask yourself, and this is why I'm changing my collection, is you're kind of wondering, like, when am I going to read this again? Or am I just collecting it just to collect it? I feel as though there's so much rereadability in some of the older Bronze Age stuff. One comic that I'm really excited for and do want to continue seeing is Jeff Johns and Jason Fabok's Rook Exodus series. It is drawn magnificently by Jason Fabok, and I've really enjoyed it. I dropped the other two Jeff Johns books because I think I'll just, probably trade weight those. I kind of am kicking myself for Geiger, but also at the same time I'm not. We have Void Rivals, which again, this is Robert Kirkman's introduction to the Energon Universe book. I'm really enjoying this story. And I guess I could complain that they kind of, paused this run. But you know what? With what they're giving us with G.I. Joe, Transformers, and then you have the Duke Cobra miniseries, and this is all kind of interconnected, I think I'm more interested into keeping those. Speaking of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero, we have the continuing saga of this, which is issue 307. The only thing that I find as a bummer is the changing of an artist. We have, and this could be an interesting spoiler page, but whatever. I don't know. I haven't read it yet. Just barely opened it, obviously. Unboxing. But the Mooningham art compared to the Paul Pelletier art is really good, but the Mooningham is art is just fantastic, just breathtaking. In all honesty. Okay, we have the Ultimate Black Panther. This is issue number 5, the Brian Edward Hill run, which is a whole lot better than the e-viewing run that I stopped after the first trade. Because what I used to do is read the first 5 issues and kind of trade wait, or just see, get the first trade number and see if the series is any good. Now I just need to just figure out what I'm willing to have an ongoing run in, keeping on those, and then dropping everything else unless, something interesting happens. Or again, trade wait, epic wait, omnibus wait. Batman 149. I have not been following Batman for quite some time. It is the Zurin R storyline that is going to be connected into the Absolute Power storyline, which is going to be quite interesting because I have made just a hard, fast decision regarding where I'm going to go with the collection of the Absolute Power event. And I'm 100% sitting out the entirety of everything. Like I've said in previous videos, I went all in on Year of the Villain. I went all in on Dark Knight's Death Metal. I went all in on the what is that? Not the 5G one, the Future State. I went all in on every single one of those, minus a couple ones that, Lex versus Superman or whatever. I had no interest in that whatsoever. And then I kind of lightly went in on the Dark Knights, or the Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. And then I just did the main books for Beast War. And I think I'm good. I find the all the tie-ins. In fact, what was really a struggle for me coming up this month. This is issue 149. Issue 150 I do have, but I'm going to be sitting out all the Absolute Power tie-ins that are not a Superman book. I would rather have my Superman run intact and Action Comics, even though that's not tied into the Absolute Power. I would rather have my Superman intact, and I had to, basically come to the realization that I'm going to have to let Batman go. I let Wonder Woman go a while back, and I was going to let the Green Lantern book go, but man, there was one cover that I was like, this cover's too cool not to own, so it got me with that. But I feel as though the constant state of almost perpetual events that lead into another event, which lead into another event. And that's, again, one of the reasons why I like the Epic collections, is because if there is crossover, then they are going to kind of include some of those issues in there. And also, it's kind of different because instead of it just being, John Byrne's run on the Fantastic Four, for example, it's going to, the epics kind of have the complete run of the storyline, from 1 to 34 or something like that. It's not only the John Byrne's recorded the written stories. And so I kind of like that format more, which is why I'm very excited for the DC response to the Epic collection, and going to be picking up some of those too. Spider-Man issue number 52, and this is the the Zeb Wells. This is the Zeb Wells run, and I finally reached the breaking point, and I believe issue 52 is the last one that I picked up. I kept on waiting it out. I'm going to be working on when did Zeb Wells's Amazing Spider-Man start to suck video. I'm in the process of doing those. However, I just couldn't do it anymore. I just realized that when is it going to end? And now it is going to end. It's going to end around issue 58, 60 or something like that. And the sad part about it is it's within a year, less than a year, they're going to solicit that sucker for a omnibus. And so now what you have to do is think, what do I want to do? Do I want to, and here's where Marvel's kind of making it easy and hard for people to kind of like step out on, is because I just barely traded a lot of my comics for Nick Spencer's Volume 2 of Amazing Spider-Man, which was hard because I did collect all of those. But if they're just going to immediately just turn around and put it in an omnibus after, every 5, 6 issues they pop out a trade the following week or so, or a couple weeks, or whatnot, I'm finding it easier to just wait it out. And if I'm really invested in the character and or creator, just to do that. Speaking of Spider-Man, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 6. This is a fantastic run. I've thoroughly enjoyed the Ultimate Universe. I need to get around to finishing reading the first Ultimate Universe that started in the early 2000s. We have Spider-Boy, which I'm very close to just dropping altogether. I used to be really interested in it. Maybe it's just because I need to read it a little bit more connected to each other. But is this when the backup stories stopped? I swear that a little while ago, Marvel came out with an article saying that they were going to, reduce the prices of their comics to more $3.99, and because a lot of them are $4.99, and it's pricing people out, and that's why again if I want to pick it up, I'm going to go to DCBS and pick it up so that I can continue the run, but continue the run at a cheaper means for myself, so I can afford life and also a hobby. We have Batman and Robin. This is the last issue of this that I decided to pick up. This is written by Joshua Williamson. He is getting ready to step away from the book, and I'm kind of glad that they have decided to change some of the artists. I have not been a fan of them at all. I just felt as though it was a book that needed to exist because of the title character Batman. And I do appreciate Batman and Damian's, kind of rebuilding of their father-son dynamic. However, I just don't feel as though... I think I can, just read it periodically on the DC Infinite Universe app whenever it works on my tablet. Green Lantern. So again, this is the Jeremy Adams Green Lantern. I really wish Jeremy Adams would go back on the Flash. That was a hard book to drop also, but Cy Spurrier just was not any good. This book also, currently has the House of Brainiac tie-in, and it's also going to be the one that houses the Green Lantern War Journal by Philip Kennedy Johnson starting in September. So stay tuned for that. Transformers, which, I initially was going to stop collecting Transformers after Daniel Warren Johnson left drawing the book, because I did not really like Jorge Corona's artwork that he did for the Batgirls, and it almost does not skip a beat. It'll be interesting to see what the story is going to be like, because supposedly Daniel Warren Johnson is leaving Transformers after issue number 12. Then we have Batman issue 148, which again, continuing the run with that. This is Spider-Man 52. The only reason why I got this is because at one point in time, I was collecting all of the What If Disney 100-year celebration or whatnot covers that are fun. But again, I'm done with that. Spider-Boy, once again, this is a thing. And then I'm very excited to read this finally. It's taken 2 months for me to get this because this came out the last week of May. This is Chip Zdarsky's and Daniel Acuna's Avengers Twilight, which is been a fantastic 6-part miniseries. A lot of people are saying that this is one of those evergreen series that people can turn to from consistently. So I'm glad to have been on the ground floor on that. Again, Detective Comics. This is 185. I think I'll probably just sit down and read the entire Ram V run because I think I got about 1.5 trades of, if I were to be counting them as trades for those releases. And uh, it's a lot. It's a lot. There is a lot of talking. There is a lot of slow talking, and it's building from what I've heard, but it is building slowly. Again, I think DC would probably be wise to possibly just omnibus this sucker and have it for pre-order sale about a month after Ram V is done with the series. Actually, probably release the final trade paperback and then do the whole series as an omnibus. I mean, that's the weird thing about DC. You have creators such as Tom King who constantly get deluxe editions for all of their books that they do. And then you have all DC kind of going back and doing stuff that has been in trade paperback for quite some time and giving them omnibuses. But the difference between Marvel and DC is it feels as though Marvel has more of a belief in their omnibuses selling than DC. DC just waits to see what the first off. I'm glad that DC has kind of pulled back on doing their hardcover because it used to be after the conclusion of the series or the trade or whatever, they would do a hardcover of the trade if it was a big title book, and then and release it 6 months after the conclusion of that, and then 6 months after that they would do, or maybe a year after that they would do the that trade as a soft cover. And it's almost, and then multiple years later, after all of the trades got picked up on the shelves, then they might release it as a trade paperback, or not a trade paperback, an omnibus. And again, that's just a weird thing because currently I have pre-ordered for DC, or yeah, the Superman Triangle years. I'm gonna kind of wait out a little bit for the Peter David Aquaman. It's on my wish list on for future things, maybe a birthday wish list or something like that. But these comics came out like in the 80s or 90s, 2000s era, and they're finally getting their first omnibuses where you have what I just barely got, the Wade and where Wingo Fantastic Four. This is the second printing of this because it sold out. So is it because it's good, or is it because it's popular and it needed a second edition? And I feel as though Marvel is pretty proactive in getting their stuff. Uh, like what is it? The Incredible Hulk, not the Incredible Hulk, the Immortal Hulk by Al Ewing. I think that sucker has been in like 3 or 4 omnibus. The omnibuses have been in 3 or 4 different printings since its release because of just the popularity of it. So it's interesting to see the difference between both companies also. All right, and the last one, Ultimate Spider-Man issue number 5. Again, I need to get caught up. There's 2 issues in my haul. I can wait out those suckers, but there's certain things that I can't wait out. And so, yeah, that is my massive comic haul, the Omnibus haul, Epic haul. What are your thoughts? How do you read some of these comics? What are you looking forward to? I know I'm really excited for the DC, their version of the Epic Collection. I can't think of what it is. I want not DC Essentials, but yeah. Anyway, and it'll be interesting also because DC is coming up with their answer to the Ultimate Universe, not the Ultimate Universe Part 2 that we're experiencing right now, but the Ultimate Universe Part 1, featuring Scott Snyder as the creative head of that universe. It'll be interesting to see. if we're just going to have complete brand new origin stories or if it's going to splinter a storyline somewhere. So I know I'll be in on those for a while. It'll be interesting to see how well Kelly Thompson does Wonder Woman with the ultimate-ish kind of spin on Wonder Woman as Tom King. Yeah, I dropped that after issue number 5 or issue number 6, and I'm just gonna pick up Wonder Woman through the app because it's not worth my time, or it's not worth my money, and kind of my time. And so I guess I'll get around to it when possible. But again, those are my thoughts. This is my unboxing. What are your thoughts about what I picked up, what I did not pick up, how I'm looking at reading comics in the future? Stay tuned for other videos. If you'd like what you like, or if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, ring the bell, whatever. Should I do a live stream? Who knows? I think that would just be an epic fail, but it could be a fun epic fail. So thanks for watching, and until next time, I will see you in the dollar section, where I don't think many of these ones are going to be ending up, but only time will tell. All right, bye.